Have you ever been completely sure that you remembered something correctly, only to find out that you were wrong? Not just a little bit wrong, but completely wrong. Maybe you remember a famous movie quote being said a certain way. Maybe you remember a logo looking slightly different. Or maybe you remember something from your childhood that apparently never existed the way you thought it did. The strangest part is, you're not the only one. Millions of people can remember the exact same thing incorrectly. This is known as the Mandela Effect. The Mandela Effect is when a large group of people share the same false memory. It's called the Mandela Effect because many people believed that Nelson Mandela had died in prison during the 1980s. But in reality, Mandela was released from prison, became the president of South Africa, and later died in 2013. When people realized that so many others had the same incorrect memory, it became a popular mystery online. Since then, the term Mandela Effect has been used to describe all kinds of shared false memories. Some of them are small, like a logo being remembered differently. Others are famous quotes that people have repeated wrong for years. And some are so convincing that people refuse to believe that the real version is actually true. One of the most famous Mandela Effect examples comes from Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. A lot of people remember the evil queen saying, "Mirror, mirror on the wall." But in the original Disney film, the line is actually "Magic mirror on the wall." This surprises a lot of people because "Mirror, mirror on the wall" is the version that most people know. Even I thought it was "Mirror, mirror on the wall." And that says something. It has been repeated in TV shows, films, jokes, and conversations for years. And because of that, our brain accepts it as the real version. It sounds right. It feels familiar. And because so many people say it, we assume it must be correct. But the original line is "Magic mirror on the wall." This is the perfect example of how pop culture can change the way we remember something. Another famous example is from Star Wars. Most people remember Darth Vader saying, "Luke, I am your father." But that isn't the actual line. The real line is, "No, I am your father." This is one of the most famous movie quotes ever, but it's also one of the most misquoted. And the reason people probably remember it as "Luke, I am your father" is because it makes the quote easier to understand outside of context. If someone just says, "No, I am your father," with no context, it doesn't sound as clear. Over time, the misquoted version became even more famous than the real version. Okay, now who remembers the Monopoly man? Wearing the suit, with the top hat, the old-fashioned guy, with the monocle. But wait, the strange thing is, he didn't actually have a monocle. But so many people remember it. He has the top hat, he has the mustache, and the suit, but no monocle. So why do so many people remember him with one? One reason could be that he looks like the kind of character who would wear a monocle. He's rich, he's old-fashioned, and he's dressed very smartly. Our brain connects those features with the classic image of a wealthy man and then fills in the missing detail. There are also other characters, like Mr. Peanut, who does wear a monocle, so people may mix them up in their memory. This shows, though, how easily our brains can combine different memories without us realizing. So why does this happen? The simplest explanation is that human memory is not perfect. We often think of memory like a video recording, as if our brain stores everything exactly as it happened. But that's not how memory works. Instead, memories are reconstructed. Every time we remember something, our brain rebuilds it using pieces of information. Sometimes those pieces come from real memories. Other times, they come from things we may have heard, seen online, or just assumed over time. This means our memories can change without us noticing, and a small mistake can become stronger every time it's repeated. And if enough people repeat the same mistake, it starts to feel like the truth. Pop culture, like movie quotes, memes, adverts, cartoons, and social media, all spread incorrect versions of things. And once the wrong version becomes popular, people hear it more often than the original. Eventually, the incorrect version becomes the one that feels familiar. And that is why so many Mandela Effect examples involve films, brands, and childhood memories. These are things that people saw years and years ago, but may not have checked again for a very long time. And over the years, the memory gets mixed with jokes, parodies, conversations, and edited images. And by the time people look back at the original, it just feels wrong, even though it always was that way. Of course, there are some people that believe that the Mandela effect is not just about memory. Some people think it could be evidence of alternate universes, parallel timelines, or reality changing right before our eyes. According to this idea, people are not remembering things wrong. Instead, they're remembering a different version of reality. It's a fun theory, and it's one of the reasons the Mandela effect became so popular. The idea that small details from our world may have changed. It's creepy, but it's also quite fascinating. There's no solid evidence that the Mandela effect is caused by alternate universes. The more realistic explanation is that memory is powerful, but it's also unreliable. But still, the mystery is what makes it so interesting. When you remember something clearly, it's hard to accept that you might be wrong. You might even be able to picture the scene in your head. You might remember it watching it as a child. You might remember other people saying it too, but it doesn't mean it's accurate. Our brain is very good at creating memories that feel real, even when they are not. The Mandela effect shows us that memory is not always reliable as we think. Even when thousands of people remember the same thing, it doesn't mean that it happened that way. Sometimes our brain fills in the gaps. Sometimes pop culture changes the way we remember things. And sometimes a false memory becomes so common that it feels more real than the truth. Whether you think it's just psychology or something more mysterious, the Mandela effect is a reminder that our minds can easily play tricks on us. So next time you're completely sure you remember something correctly, it might be worth checking, because the truth might be different from what you remember. What Mandela effect do you remember most clearly? Was it mirror, mirror on the wall? Or is it something completely different? Comment your favorite Mandela effect below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this.